Hey there guys, how are you doing? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back and let's talk about Microsoft and the Xbox. So really quickly before we jump into today's topic, there are two elements that I want to discuss as sort of like a housekeeping sort of thing. First and foremost is this really annoying sunbeam that is right on my face right now. Yes, I know it's silly and ridiculous. It's like right on my face and right in my eye, coming off the inside of my glasses. And it probably looks dumb and it might be annoying to people, but like I can't move my window and I certainly can't move the frickin' sun. So it's just going to be shining in my face and in my eyes and probably look kind of dumb throughout most of this video. What are you gonna do? The other thing I want to talk about, you guys, is huge, massive news. I cannot believe it. I am still shocked to this very day. And we can finally say it, you guys. I cannot believe that I can finally say this. I have officially crossed 10,000 subscribers. We did it. I totally did it. You guys helped me do it. It's freaking insane. I've been like so excited for this for so long. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I've been really excited to hit 10K because I was creeping up on it, and 2017 was so good for growth, and then I hit a wall right before the end of the year, and all of 2018 has been an insanely stupid crawl. Like, it's been an upward trajectory for sure, but it went from this to like this. You know, I've talked about it before. And, you know, over the last few weeks, I've hit a huge surge. I think some appearances on the Spawncast have been a huge help. Some shout outs from some fellow YouTubers and friends. OJ from Player Essence gave me a great shout out, which was hugely helpful for this final push. Super Metal Dave did the same thing, and plenty of other people. I've seen so much support from fellow YouTubers, from a lot of you guys, fans and followers and people on Twitter. It's just been insane. And I made it in just under my 5-year anniversary on YouTube, and that was also a huge goal I had. And throughout most of the year, I thought that was impossible. When I saw how much my growth had slowed in the first 6 or 7 months of 2018, I was like, well, there's no way I'm going to hit 10K before October 30th, which is my 5-year anniversary. But, you know, long story short, the last month or two things changed and it just went insane. And so thank you guys. Thank you so much for being a fan of me and supporting me and subscribing and, you know, dealing with some of the maybe not so great things that I've gone through over the last year or so, but mostly just loving the content, I guess, and loving me and wanting to talk about what I'm talking about. I don't know. I don't want to gush too much longer. I guess it's kind of weird for me to do, but I just wanted to say thank you. I'm super proud. I cannot believe it. 10K, it's like a whole new world, baby. Anyway, with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the real topic I wanted to discuss today. And it's an interesting one. I think it's a doozy. I'll be really curious as to your guys' reactions and your thoughts and input onto this topic. And it is an idea that I sort of brought up in a video probably like a year and a half ago. I think way before even the Switch launched, if I'm remembering right. But I wanted to revisit it and kind of take it in a different direction. And overall, we're talking about, like I said in the intro, Microsoft and the Xbox. And I don't spend a lot of time talking about the Xbox specifically on this channel, even though I absolutely love it. I mean, the library is suffering, but I think the console is great. I love the controller, and, you know, I want it to be successful. And so what I wanted to talk about is kind of the trajectory that Microsoft is taking the Xbox One brand currently, because I think that I am seeing the tides change. I think a lot of us might be kind of witnessing the beginnings, I should say, of a huge shift for Microsoft and the way they're treating the Xbox brand, and also what I think they might be doing specifically with the Xbox One, which is, you know, a family of consoles, basically the Xbox One family, which is the original One, the One S, and now the One X, which was supposed to make this huge splash last year. And as a lot of us know, it really didn't. I mean, as far as I understand, it's actually very quality. I don't think that the quality of the One X is poor. I just know that it hasn't made a big impact. It hasn't changed the face or the success of the Xbox One. PS4 is an unstoppable beast. Switch has had all the momentum and is continually gaining ground on the Xbox, and will, like, no doubt eventually surpass it. And so, while that's great for Nintendo and the Switch, and it makes me happy as a huge Nintendo fan, it makes me wonder why Microsoft has been seeing such a downward trajectory for so many years in a row with the Xbox One. Again, a console that I think is a really well-made machine. I love the way it runs. I like the operating system. Like I said, my favorite controller on the market, hands down. Even over the Switch's Pro controller, I love the controller. But they've just been suffering. They've been essentially bleeding success the last 2 years, maybe even 3 years. And in some ways, it might be kind of baffling and confusing, but in other ways, a lot of us might understand why. I mean, it's kind of transparent when you see what's been happening with the Xbox One. The biggest thing, easily without a doubt, the number one thing we all know is exclusive games. Microsoft and the Xbox One has been suffering when it comes to content. Video games, the actual things you buy one of these machines for. It's not just to say you have it. It's not just for Netflix and Hulu and YouTube. It's for video games. And, you know, out of the gate, it was pretty strong because it was pretty much on par with the PS4, and the games weren't necessarily running as well, but it was getting all of the same games the PS4 was. And for a while, Sony didn't have a lot of exclusives either. And this was when the Wii U was still kind of new, and this was way before the Switch. And so the Xbox One was doing fine compared to its direct competition at that time. But as the years went on, suddenly Sony started to get better and better exclusives. And we started to really see what the PlayStation 4 was capable of. The extra power under the hood was making a big difference. All these third-party games were having much better performance than the Xbox One counterparts. And Microsoft was only able to eke out a couple of notable exclusives in the first couple of years. And to be fair, one of them was a Gears of War remaster, which is great, but an old game. The other was the Master Chief Collection, also great, but also old games. Then there was Halo 5, which I really enjoy, but let's be real, it is far from the best Halo, and it did not light the Halo fanship on fire. I mean, it really is a damn good game, let me tell you guys. I'm not dogging Halo 5 as a game, but as far as its success and the way it was received in the community, not so hot. Gears of War 4 is, I think, both a better game and was better received, and I know that both Halo 5 and Gears of War 4 sold okay, but I don't think either of them did exactly what Microsoft hoped they would and wanted them to. I know that, you get the occasional Forza game mixed in there somewhere, and I have to just ultimately state I don't really know or follow those games, so I can't say too much about them, but I know that they're pretty good and people like them and buy them a lot, so I'm sure Forza has also been helping them. But that means that they've basically been relying on 3 franchises, Halo, Gears of War, and Forza. And I think that Halo and Gears of War should be mammoth, like system-moving kind of series, but these last iterations, as much as I like them, like they said, they really haven't been able to do that. And through the releases of these games and their inability to move more units, and the fact that continually we haven't seen new pushes from Microsoft to get quality exclusive stuff, we then have seen the PlayStation 4, like I said, continue to thrive. And obviously the problem was only exacerbated when Nintendo moved on from the Wii U and then onto the Switch, and the Switch has been, like I said, an unstoppable machine in itself and has had all the momentum. And that has all changed the fortunes of the Xbox. Now, to Microsoft's credit, they tried a couple of things that I do appreciate, even though they didn't really work out. One is they've been trying to get more Japanese support, Japanese developer support, so they got Final Fantasy 15 and made a big push with that on the system. I think that's great. They're getting Kingdom Hearts 3, and I think that's really great, and a couple of other games like Code Vein and Dark Souls, really high-profile, well-known Japanese games coming to the console. That is great, because notoriously Microsoft has struggled with quality Japanese developed content, and they've clearly never been able to sell in Japan, which is a shame, but I think it's probably always going to be that way. So that was a nice thing to try to attempt. And then they did try to get another big exclusive, not counting Crackdown, which is its own mess of problems. The other big exclusive, Scalebound, which of course has completely gone away. It's dead, it's gone. They're never going to see that on the Xbox. That game is toast, and it was going to be pretty cool. I was excited. I know a lot of you guys were excited. Developed by a very prolific, well-known and well-loved Japanese studio, Platinum Games, and to have that awesome looking game coming exclusively to Xbox was a huge win for Microsoft, but that all went away. It fell apart behind the scenes. We don't really know the details. We probably never will, but the unfortunate part is we lost what looked like a pretty great game exclusively for the Xbox. So all that stuff is pretty much just catching us up. I mean, we all pretty much know the whole story of the Xbox One, but I kind of wanted to talk it through a little bit, share that stuff with you guys, and get us to where I think we now see the Xbox, and why I think they actually might be doing with the Xbox One something that Nintendo did with the Wii U. That's the kind of topic that I was referencing in the beginning of the video that I discussed like probably a year and a half or 2 years ago. I kind of think we might be seeing Microsoft do that. And here's the thing, when I say that Microsoft might be doing with the Xbox One what Nintendo did with the Wii U, what do I mean? Well, and I'm going to say this as a staunch Wii U fan. To this day, I think it's a great console, and I still turn it on every once in a while. I know it sucks because the sales sucked, but the quality of the library, and I like the gamepad, the quality of the gamepad, that stuff to me makes it a great console when you don't factor in its commercial success. And so what happened with the Wii U, what Nintendo did with that console is essentially, to paraphrase, they abandoned it. They basically moved on from it, I think, much, much sooner than they really would have intended. When that thing launched in November 2012, I absolutely do not think that Nintendo planned to bring up the code name for their next console within a year and a half. In like mid-2014, a year and a half later, that's when, I think it was Iwata or maybe it was Miyamoto, one of them mentioned in a little blurb about Nintendo NX. And I mean, that was like the code name heard around the world, right? I mean, what a crazy time that was when Nintendo was like, oh, we're doing this, we're thinking about licensing out for movies, we might do stuff with cell phone stuff, we're also making a Nintendo NX, and then we're gonna make other games for the Wii U, so buy the Wii U. And everyone was like, wait, did you, what, NX? What's the NX? What's the NX? Let's talk about and theorize and let's get excited because the Wii U sucks. We all hate it. Give us that NX. And so I think that first early announcement of the NX was Nintendo basically planting the seeds to move on from the Wii U really soon. They probably wanted the Wii U to last for 6 or 7 years, do similar success that the Wii did, and that the whole 7th generation, even the Xbox One and Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 had great long life cycles. Obviously, Nintendo would have loved to milk the Wii U era for as long as possible, get more great games and great software, sell more units. I mean, the fact that it didn't sell at least 40 million units is a travesty, and it makes the thing tragically a humongous, colossal failure. And so Nintendo was like, we got to move away from this thing, and even though they had a couple of great games lined up to still release throughout the year of the console, and they sold those very, very well, still, the library continually got more and more barren. We saw less and less effort and passion from Nintendo focused on the Wii U. That was the thing. You watched their last couple of E3s before the big Zelda blowout, which at the time was also focused on the Wii U. It didn't seem like Nintendo really cared, you know? It was like they were, other than 2014, I will admit, 2014 was the one E3 where they probably thought they could make a good Wii U push. But even the stuff, even from 2011 and 12 and 13 to promote the Wii U, those were not good. 14 was an A+ home run. 15 was also not good. 16 was good because they focused on one incredible game that became more of an NX title than a Wii U title. And so anyway, I'm making this such a Nintendo conversation, of course. The point is, we saw that Nintendo didn't care about it. And the games started to go away, and they went more away, and they went more away, and we were like, what's going on? And that made us want the NX more and more and more. And so the TLDR version, I'll say, is that Nintendo abandoned the Wii U. They focused all their efforts, they moved their efforts, all their R&D, all their big game development to their next console. And what happened is they had an amazing console with a fresh idea and a non-stop barrage of incredible, mostly first-party content. As the Wii U thinned and Nintendo gave less effort and money and manpower and passion towards the Wii U, the Switch behind the scenes was getting built up more and more and more and more and more. So that by the time they were ready to launch the thing, it was just open the floodgates. Here's a Zelda, here's a Mario Kart, here's an ARMS, here's a Xenoblade, here's a Mario Odyssey, here's a whatever. I mean, it was just bang, 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 and some of the best games they've ever made, and it helped sell the console, and now everyone loves it. And so, in abandoning their dying, failing console, they moved their effort behind the scenes. They sacrificed a couple of really bad years for that current console, the Wii U. They let 2015 and 2016 be really bad as far as game output. But that's because they were moving everything to launch their next console with the best possible success and the best games ever. And it worked. It succeeded. The Switch is a hit. It's selling like crazy. Zelda was the greatest game. It sold so many. Zelda and Mario Odyssey and Mario Kart have sold like 10 million units or something each. It's absolutely insane in the first year and a half. And so, let's take that idea and the success of it and move it over to Microsoft. And clearly you guys can see where I'm going with this. I see Microsoft, possibly, this is all just a theory and speculation, but I feel good about it. I see Microsoft doing the same thing with their next Xbox, which means that's what they're doing with the Xbox One. I think they're essentially treating it like the Wii U. Because why, for 2 years in a row, have we not seen Microsoft, with the exception of Scalebound, which fell apart, we haven't seen them attempt one huge exclusive game announcement, except for recently they talked about Halo and they talked about Gears, and I'm going to get into those games, but if we forget everything in this past E3, we've seen their exclusive games dwindle. And that's exactly what happened with the Wii U. And then we do come to E3 this year, and that is when we do get that Halo game and that new Gears of War game and another Forza game. And that's exciting. Halo Infinite's coming. Gears of War 5 is coming. Whatever the Forza or Forza Horizon, whatever. It's going to be whatever. Those games are coming. And that's all great. The other big thing that happened at E3 this year is that Phil Spencer doubled down on the future of the Xbox. I myself and many other people thought that maybe at E3 this year, we would see the sign that Microsoft was waving the white flag and they were giving up and they were going to let the Xbox One maybe fade the next couple of years and then step away from the home console market. I really thought that was a huge possibility because of the Xbox One's downward trajectory. But instead, they shocked us and they were like, we bought 5 new studios, we made our own extra internal studio, and the future of the Xbox is a real thing. We're making future Xbox consoles. And then Phil Spencer started talking about the Xbox Scarlett. And so we know that there are more Xbox consoles to come. And so what I see Microsoft doing is exactly the same thing Nintendo did with the Wii U and the Switch and the crazy success they had. That's what Microsoft is doing. They've been letting the Xbox One's library, in my theory here, they've been letting that library dwindle and kind of just thin itself out. Not a lot of games, not a lot of exclusives, not a lot of big partnerships, not a lot of first-party stuff coming from them. Crackdown is getting delayed. Finally is going to come out in the next couple months, so that's going to be great to just have that game finally released. But they've been letting the Xbox One thin, and then Phil Spencer talks about the next Xbox, and we made all these new studios and bought these studios. I think that they're getting ready to launch an absolute powerhouse with their next Xbox. I firmly believe they want to replicate Nintendo's success with the Switch with this next Xbox, which means all those studios that they talked about and announced at E3, I guarantee you guys they are all making Xbox Scarlett games. None of those teams are making Xbox One games. They are making Scarlett games to come out in the first, year or 18 months of the next Xbox's life. Halo Infinite, I am telling you guys, they are going to use Halo Infinite to be the Breath of the Wild for the Xbox Scarlett. It is going to be that huge first-party exclusive release that's essentially Microsoft's tentpole franchise, just like Zelda is one of Nintendo's tentpole franchises. Halo is Microsoft's tentpole franchise, and they can have the 6th Halo game, which they have confirmed it's essentially Halo Part 6. They can launch their next Xbox with the newest iteration of a Halo. Think about that. That's only happened one time with the first Halo on the first Xbox, and that literally defined the first Xbox, and it kept the thing afloat its entire life until the 360 came out. And I'm telling you, Halo Infinite is meant to be an Xbox Scarlett launch title. I could also maybe see it doing like what Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild did, where it maybe is like a dual launch and it's cross-generational, Xbox One and Xbox Scarlett. Sure, they might do that, and maybe they even should do that. But regardless of if they do or don't, I just like the idea that instead of forcing this amazing Halo game out at the end of the life of the Xbox One where no one really cares about it, why not instead just make it a launch for your next console? Doing that, making it a last-ditch release is kind of what was the nail in the coffin for Skyward Sword. Because that's what that's what Nintendo did with that Zelda game at the end of the Wii's life, and I love the game, but it kind of floundered because it was at the end of that console's life when no one cared. And, Microsoft has an opportunity to do that same thing with Halo Infinite, but they're not gonna. They're gonna launch the next Xbox with that game. Now, Gears of War 5 is trickier because I think right now they have a date for 2019, so maybe that game is gonna come out next year, but I could also see that being delayed. And I feel like 2020 could be a great time for Microsoft to launch the next Xbox, and maybe they delay Gears of War 5 by 1 year. And in 2020, if the next Xbox launches and they've got Halo Infinite and they've got Gears of War 5 launching the machine or covering the first 6 to 18 months of that machine, it's going to be huge, you guys. It is going to be a huge push, not to mention whatever other games they're making with these other studios that they purchased and created behind the scenes. I just see them putting all their marketing muscle, all their money, all their R&D and manpower into making Halo, Gears of War 5, and other new games launch the next Xbox. They're sacrificing the dwindling years of the Xbox One, and they're going to let it fade away, just like Nintendo did with the Wii U, because in doing that, they're going to prop up the launch of their next console. I just see it happening, you guys. To me, all the signs are pointing to this, and that's really the crux of my theory. I think the next Xbox could come out and be a huge hit. So that's my crazy theory. I know there's a lot here to kind of dissect and kind of chew into and piece together, but it's a really interesting situation to me. I find it fascinating. I kind of want this to be true too. I think that's part of the reason I think it's really great, because as much as I love the Xbox One, I would rather Microsoft see the exact same success Nintendo did, let the One fade, let the Scarlett launch with a great lineup of games and become a huge success, and I want Microsoft to be strong and healthy again. I always want Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo strong, healthy, and successful. That is the most healthy thing for the entire industry and all the competition and the quality of games we get, and everyone's firing on all cylinders, and it's just good for everybody. And so I don't like seeing Microsoft struggle, just like I didn't like seeing Nintendo struggle last generation, or with the Wii U, I should say. So I don't know, man. That's my crazy theory. Like I said, a lot to unpack, but I want to hear what you guys think. Does this make sense? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you see the same things I do? I feel like the writing is on the wall that has to be what Microsoft is doing. Taking a page from Nintendo's book, man. Nintendo are the trendsetters. Every time we think they're doomed, they come back and just wow everyone. And I think Microsoft is like, yeah, we can do that too, and we should do that. So let's do it. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Talk about it below. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. One last time, thank you all so much for supporting me for 5 years and helping me cross that 10K subscriber milestone. It is like Christmas morning, and I just couldn't thank you guys enough. I'm so proud of that. So thank you for that. This, of course, is Rob of Rule of 2 Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.